Hi, I'm Dave Palmer. Thanks for joining me for this video, which is entitled How to Think Like St. Thomas Aquinas. And St. Thomas Aquinas was a genius. He wrote the Summa Theologica and a lot of other writings. And he had a way of seeing the world that I think is very different than most people in our modern age. And so I thought this would be a good topic to talk about because all of us are thinkers. Okay, we think about a lot of things. In fact, that's very unique to the human person is that we ponder, we take a lot of things in, and we have a lot of sense experiences, and how we process all the things that we see on a daily basis is very important. And so how would we do it in the sense that St. Thomas Aquinas would do it? That's the topic of this video. And, we are the only creatures that really think. I don't think we could say that our dogs and cats think. They may react, they may have stimuli, they have sense experience, but I don't think that they sit there and ponder their next move or consider what they did and what they're going to do next time. So the brute creatures don't think, the centipedes and the possums and the raccoons and the skunks, they don't think in the sense that we do. Angels don't think either, okay? Angels have innate species. They have everything that they really need to know infused into them at the moment of their creation. And so they don't have discursive thinking going from one thing to the next like us. And so it's very unique to the human person to be a thinker. All right. So we're going to talk about how could we conform our way of thinking to the way that St. Thomas Aquinas was a thinker and in light of his writings. Okay. I can't guarantee that I know exactly how St. Thomas Aquinas would think about these things, but I think we can gather quite a bit from the way that he wrote. All right, so the basis of this video is going to be that we experience things on a daily basis, okay, from the mundane things like an ice cream cone to trees and dogs and the human person. Okay, we're sensible creatures, so we have all these experiences, and how we react to them really matters. Okay, it matters a lot in relation to what kind of a person we are, and also how we are kind of gearing our lives towards our final end. Okay, so that's really what I think St. Thomas Aquinas was most concerned about. So this is a quote from the Summa that I think lays the bedrock, I should say, of what we're talking about here. The ultimate beatitude of man consists in the use of his highest function, which is the operation of his intellect. Okay, this is how we differ from other creatures, is that we are intellectual. Of course, the angels have intellect as well. Now he goes on to say, for there resides in every man a natural desire to know the cause of any effect which he sees, and thence arises wonder in men. But if the intellect of the rational creature could not reach so far as to the first cause of things, the natural desire would remain void. I love this passage from Aquinas. Okay, this comes from the Summa, because what it means is that when we interact with the world and we, experience ice cream cones and trees and dogs and human persons, it really should create in us a sense of wonder. And that wonder should create in us a curiosity about where it came from. Okay, what is the cause? And that's going to lead us all the way back to God. And so every experience that we have in life should be an opportunity to reflect upon God. And that's going to be the basis of what I'm talking about in this video. G.K. Chesterton, in his famous book, The Dumb Ox, about St. Thomas Aquinas, said, "To him, even the momentary was momentous." And so I ask you, are the individual moments of your life, okay, when you walk outside and you see nature and you see the sunrise, or you see people in your neighborhood or bugs or lizards, okay, is it momentous? I think this is a great compliment that G.K. Chesterton had for Thomas Aquinas, and I think it's true. I think the way that Thomas saw the world was that he was always in a sense of awe. He was always in a sense of wonder. And so I want to take some of those examples and show you how I think Thomas Aquinas would respond to various things. Okay, let's start with the most mundane, something like a simple ice cream cone. The average person would be I just want to eat it. It's sweet. It's good. It tastes great. I desire it. So let's eat it and let's move on. But I think there's more to it than that, okay? That first of all, the only reason we desire the ice cream cone is because it's good, right? We wouldn't desire it if it wasn't, okay? It's sweet, it's good, it tastes great. And then we have to think, well, God, one of his attributes is that God is goodness as himself. God is goodness itself. And so that ice cream cone, as simple and mundane as it is, has a participation in the ultimate goodness of God. All right, so we should say that that natural attraction we have to something like an ice cream cone or a pizza or our favorite drink or any other sensible pleasure is a participation in God. Okay, so we also could say, well, my pet dog and my pet whatever cat would also desire this. But with us, we have an element of free will. We have an element of intellect where it's not just a sensible desire like, we want it like a dog would want it, but we're able to actually know what it is and then make a decision on, well, I've already had 2 ice cream cones today, so I don't think I need a third one. And we can make a decision based on our situation and circumstances on whether or not we should eat the ice cream. That's something a dog really can't do. Okay, so that's the Aquinas approach to something as simple and mundane as an ice cream cone, but it could apply to anything that you desire sensibly. All right, moving up now to a tree. Okay, I know I live in a very wooded area, and I see trees all the time. Okay, most of us just kind of ignore them. There's a lot of them, and you can't, focus on every single thing you see. But what's the deeper kind of, what we can grasp out of a tree other than just saying, oh, there's another tree? Well, first of all, Thomas Aquinas would say that this tree has a nutritive or vegetative soul. Okay, so we are similar to it in that we also have a soul that has a vegetative, nutritive part, and that just means that it's the involuntary things that are keeping it alive. Okay, there are things going on within that tree, water circulating through it and the photosynthesis process, and a lot of things are happening within that's very involuntary. And we have things like our digestive system and our circulatory system and excretory system that happen without us consciously being, willing it. And so we're similar to a tree in that regard. I mentioned the photosynthesis process. Think of how cool that is, that process, where the tree is emitting oxygen, taking in carbon dioxide, taking in water from the soil, sun from above, producing its own food, dropping its leaves in the fall, and creating the nutrient-rich soil for the next season. There's a lot going on, not to mention the fact that the tree provides shade for us. It provides a home for birds and nests. And so there's a whole lot going on in this one tree that most of us overlook on a daily basis. Okay, so here's the dog. All right, the dog now we go up a step, and the dog has a sensitive soul, which means that it can feel pain. It has passions. It has the 5 senses. It can taste and smell and hear. So we actually have a lot in common with our pet dog. All right, not to mention the fact that a dog in particular is man's best friend. I think God gave us dogs because they're really friendly and they make us feel good. And what a gift it is to us. And cats as well, and all the other pets, were given to us as gifts. Not to mention the animals like cows and chickens and things that we eat, that which is a great blessing as well. But we also should remember that when we see a dog or a raccoon or a centipede or a squirrel, that we all know that there's something different about us. There's something that elevates us higher than a dog. Nobody really honestly thinks that a dog and a human are on the same level. We have intellect, we have will, and as nice as they are and as great companions as they are, a dog should always be a reminder that we not only are a higher creature, but we're called to a different end. All right, so God put 8.7 million species of creatures on the earth for a reason, because they're all telling us something about God, and it's also helping us to reach our final end. All right, so this brings us to the next level of creation, and that, of course, is the human being made to the image and likeness of God. All right, this is every time we experience a human being in the world, we should either vocally or in our minds say, this person is made to the image and likeness of God. They're similar to the tree. We've got a vegetative aspect to our soul, similar to the dog or the, aardvark or what the other sensitive creatures. But we're different, okay? We have intellect. We have will. We are fascinating creatures. We have passions. We have desires. We have senses. We're probably the most complicated creature, but we're right in the middle of everything, okay? We're like all the other creatures below us and like the one that above us as well. We also have the added aspect of sexual attraction, okay? Thomas, being a red-blooded male, would have had sexual attraction, but that gives us the opportunity to, through virtue of chastity and temperance, to be able to see the person as a child of God, as a image of God, and not see the person as just a sexual object, okay? So the human person is the closest thing we come to God in our sensible experience other than the Eucharist itself, okay? This is why I think Thomas would have been tempted to bow down to the human being. He wouldn't have bowed down, but he would have been tempted because of how close the human being is to God. And that brings us finally to the last creatures, and that's the angels. We can't see the angels, we can't experience them sensibly, but we are like them in that we have spiritual souls. The angels don't have souls, but they're pure spirit, their intellect and their will, and they are right between us and God. Okay, so we can imagine what it would be like if we didn't have bodies, if we didn't have senses and passions and physical desires and wanting that ice cream cone and the pizza and the burrito and that. It provides us an opportunity to focus on those aspects of us that are made to the image and likeness of God, because God doesn't have a body, but he does have intellect and will. And so the angels, even though we can't see them, we realize are right between us and God. So in light of all this, in everything that we see in the world, from the flowers and the plants and the trees and the dogs and the cats and the birds and the clouds and the rain and the mountains and the fellow human beings, what is the proper response? How would Aquinas respond to all this? And I think this is the answer. It's just worship. It's just thankfulness. It's gratefulness. It's, God, I don't deserve this. You have surrounded me with good things. And everything that I experience in the world, even those things I don't experience, like the angels, are helping me to guide me to my final end. And this is really what it's all about. And so Thomas would see the world where every moment truly was momentous, as G.K. Chesterton said. And I think that's something that's lost in our culture today for the most part, because a lot of us, have our nose in our phones or our computers, and we're not really paying attention to the world around us. All right, I want to close with a passage from Scripture. It's Psalm 63. And I think it's the disposition that we should have if we understand the way Thomas thought and the way we should think. And he says in Psalm 63, the psalmist says, "You, God, are my God, earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you, my whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. I have seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and your glory, because your love is better than life. My lips will glorify you. I will praise you as I live. And in your name I will lift up my hands." Okay, so just like that last picture I showed you a moment ago, this is the proper response. Okay, we're just like in awe, in wonder of the gifts and the beauty of what God has provided for us in the natural world and in all the grace and the beauty that he has surrounded us with. So that is my take on how we can learn to think like St. Thomas Aquinas. Thanks for watching. God bless you.